Greetings, animators. So today we're going to go ahead and put together two of our dinosaurs, but we're going to be working with a little more of the Illustrator tools, starting with just putting together the eraser. All right, putting together our first dinosaur by using the eraser, and then we're going to put together the second dinosaur using our shape builder tool. Now we've used the shape builder tool before, not necessarily the eraser, but we kind of understand intuitively what an eraser will do, right? Because we've used one since since grade school or even before, because we know the eraser is at the end of the pencil. So we're going to be using it today to put together the final elements of our first dinosaur, and then we'll use the shape builder tool, which we have used before, to create shapes for the second dinosaur. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and open our project first. So if you're open to Adobe Illustrator and your opening screen looks like mine and you're missing the actual dinosaur documents, don't freak out. They're still there. They're saved in our U drive. So we're going to go ahead and hit open, right? And when you just go to Animation, Illustrator, Lessons, Lesson 4, and it should be there. And there's our dinosaurs project. And just hit open, and it'll open it. Sometimes Illustrator won't keep your most recent documents up. It's happened to at least a couple of you that I know that have helped find them. All right, so we left off yesterday with basically cutting out using our knife tool and our scissor tool. So now we're going to continue on, right? And I showed you a little trick that we're going to use right now, and that is to hold down the space bar to get the little hand. And we're just going to hold it down, keep the space bar down, and we're going to move over to our wheel. So this wheel, these lines, all these little spokes, like a spoke of a wheel, they're just lines kind of set so that we have guide marks on what we need to erase. You'll see in a minute. All right. So what we're going to do here is we need to, this particular area is a path, just like a line, right? It shows a stroke color, but it doesn't have a fill by default. All right. We can actually change that around and make sure that, if we want to have a stroke or a stroke and we switch it around to have a fill color, we can. But that's not going to be until we get to the compound paths later in this tutorial. All right. So we're going to select the whole thing. We're going to click our selection tool, select the entire purple circle. Right, and you see the guide wires, and we need to make this into actually we need to make it into like a fill, right? Because right now it's just a stroke, and if we try to erase the stroke, we're going to erase the entire thing. So we want to do something to this. We want to convert it into a solid piece, right, that we could actually mess with. Well, because we're going to make the frill, the part that goes behind the dinosaur. So we're going to go to, once we select the whole thing, we're going to go to path or object, go all the way down to the middle right here where it says path. And then we're going to hit outline stroke, which is right here. So again, object, path, and then outline stroke right here. Object, path, outline stroke. And see, now the guidelines disappeared. By the way, for those of you, again, if the guidelines disappeared, go to View and make sure the Smart Guides are turned on, or else you're not going to see all those cool guidelines and everything that I'm talking about. All right. So now that it's solid, what we're going to do is we're going to erase parts of it to create the back of the frills. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this picture up. These are the frills right here. We're going to make these frills that go on back of our dinosaur. Okay. And I need to basically tell you a couple things. So the eraser tool lets you erase areas of vector artwork, right? You can use it on paths, compound paths, inside live paint, anything of, shapes that we've used. And we can use it on different art content, right? But this is a special note. If you bring a picture from Google, right, or you bring a picture that you took yourself or from another file, and that's called a raster image, and we use that in Photoshop. And in Photoshop, this eraser tool will work. it will not work in Illustrator. If you bring a picture from outside Illustrator that's not a vector, that's instead it's a bitmap, then or any symbols or even a gradient. Let's just say you wanted to erase a piece of your gradient. You can't do that in Illustrator, right? You can only erase vector art. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come up here and we're going to look for our eraser tool. Now, if you have your scissor tools there, it's going to show scissor tools. Some of you may even have your knife tool there, right? But we're looking for the scissor, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hover close to it so you can see what it looks like. It's this one right here. That's the eraser tool, and if you hover without clicking, you'll see that it says eraser tool. Click on that, and then we're going to double click that. Boom, right? Then it comes up with our eraser tool options. And under size, we're going to basically change that point to 30. Okay, so it can be big. I'm going to do a little space bar, So it's 30 point, and then we'll hit OK. Now we have our eraser tool. Now, if you hover, you see it has it's a circle. That's like the bottom head. I want you to picture a big pencil, right? And at the bottom of the pencil is the big eraser. It's like if it's flat. I know when we use eraser, it's kind of an angle. This one is like if it's straight down, the pencil straight down on the actual paper that's here. And we're going to erase. So I want you to think of it that way. And what we're going to do is, and everybody's going to be different, right? Everybody's going to be different. And before we actually do this, let's deselect it. So come into the selection tool right here and click anywhere in the white. So that way there is no bounding box. And we'll go back to our eraser. It's already set. We don't have to reset it. And I want you to just take chunks out of it, like a U, just like the U, but like a soft U. All right, just like that. Boom. And you're going to notice that it smooths it out. And you can do deep ones or you can do shallow ones. Right? And you're going to basically we're going to make the frills, right? And again, this is a cool technique. Oops, I went a little bit overboard. Command Z. If you mess up, Command Z is your friend. You guys really should be masters of the undo for your other classes too. Again, if you're working with it, you mess up, you can always hit Command Z. That's our friend, all right? I know it's my friend. Continuing, and you can take chunks. Everybody's going to be different, and that's just like a real life animal, right? In biology, there's nothing perfect. So here we go. So there we go. I want you to leave the bottom ones though. The bottom two, don't mess with them. All right. So you see these are the frills, and it'll go around the back of our dinosaur in a minute, right? So, and let me go ahead and come up here. See, that's why those little guide lines were there to kind of help us out. All right, let's see, going over here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to kind of go down a little bit. We don't actually need these bottom two. So once we have our eraser tool, I want you to kind of just erase the bottom. Right? See, even my line got erased. You don't need to erase all the inside, just kind of go out there. And we want to leave the bottom open because we actually don't need it that way. Right? And so then this is our frill. We're done. Right? We used our eraser tool and we've actually used it successfully. It's as simple as that. Our eraser tool. Right? Excellent. So now we have our three objects that we're going to add. So what I want to do now is I want you to hit Command 0, and it'll show us all. It'll take us to our artboard, and it'll show us all of our dinosaurs. So before we go and assemble our first dinosaur, I want to click on the nose, right? Click on the nose of the dinosaur, and then I want to hit Command plus, one more time, plus 4. I zoomed in 4 times. And this is I want to try and just erase the bottom of this nose. So I'm going to go, and so it's selected. So if you try to erase, because we're going to use the eraser tool in a minute, if you try to erase and the bounding box is not around the nose and it's around something else, you're going to erase something else, right? So let's just make sure we click on the nose itself. You may have to click off to the side to deselect everything and then come back and touch the nose to reselect it. Then we're going to go ahead and grab our eraser tool. And I want you to, I'm probably going to erase, I'm not clicking anything. I'm probably going to erase like the bottom, little tiny, this little area. Again, everybody's going to be different. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to hold down shift. I'm going to click and hold. And I'm just going to drag it right across. Boom, like a straight line. Let go of my mouse button. And then let go of the shift button. And there, it made a little straight line underneath there. If I didn't like that, Command Z. Control is it in Chromebooks or your Windows machines. I'm going to go a little lower. Hold down shift, click, and then drag straight across. Shift is allowing me to make a perfect straight line. And that's it. That's it for that little fine tuning. I'm going to hit Command 0 so we can fit our artboard into our window. And now I'm going to start putting our awesome dinosaur together. I don't know. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm going to click the nose again. I'm going to zoom in real quick. Oops. Move it over. And you know what? I'm going to click that nose. I'm going to undo. And I'm going to go back to my eraser tool. You don't have to do this. I'm going to do this because I just don't like the way it looks. Right. I'm going to hit 20 because I want to make the eraser smaller. That's better. Hold down shift again and then go right off the bottom. So I wanted a little bit of curve at the edge, and I didn't really see it until I zoomed out. Zoom out. Again, you don't have to do that. If you want to, you can. I just changed the size of the eraser, and that's a really cool technique to use. Right, it gives you more fidelity, gets you basically a little more detail work. I'm going to click my selection tool. All right, and now let's go ahead and assemble our dinosaur. I'm going to start with the frills. I'm going to grab the frills. I'm going to bring it and just put it in the right area in the back. Boom. I want you to notice that it didn't go, it's still sticking out. The frills are in the back. So you'll click the frills and then just go arrange, send backward, right? Or maybe, you know what? I'll just send it all the way to the back. Arrange, send to back. Right? And it was sent to the back. See, there's our frills. Pretty cool. Some of you are going to have a lot better frills than I do, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the green part of the nose, right? To where it's right there. Oh, nice. It actually looks pretty cool. Boom. And it should fit. That one should be in the layers. It should already be assigned, so that's nice. And then finally we'll end up with our beak. And I'll put my beak right there. It should fit right there. Voila. There is our cool dinosaur, #1 in the books. All right, congratulations. I'll let you put that stick together. Frills could be a little deeper, but again, all dinosaurs are biological, and biology, it's symmetrical, but not necessarily perfect. All right, so here we go. Let's go down here, and let's work on our second dinosaur. Right? Down here where it says Artboard Navigation, and hopefully you can see it, because usually you can't. I'm going to probably hover close to it. Where it says the #1, right, with my magnification tool, where it says #1, and then there's this little drop-down menu, or this little drop-down arrow right here. It says Artboard Navigation. Click that, and you're going to see that it has Dino 1, 2, and 3. Dino 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go to Dino 2. That's going to choose the second artboard, and it automatically fits to our window. How cool is that? All right. So now we're going to make a compound path, right? And a compound path is really cool, right? It's super cool. It basically allows you to make weird additional shapes with regular shapes, right? And what it does is it basically stamps out. Think of like a cookie cutter or a stamp. It stamps out pieces of a different shape. For example, a donut, which we're going to make in a second. There's a circle, but we want to carve out the center. But we want a perfect circle carved out of the center. How do you do that? Well, that's called a compound path, right? I want you to click on this gray circle and just hit Command plus and plus just twice till it's front and center. We're going to grab our gray circle, and we're gonna center it. See where it says intersect? I'm gonna leave it there because it's perfectly intersected. Your smart guides are your friends, right? You want the smart guide, right? It's really cool. So the next thing, and And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to choose object. Then we're going to do path. And then we're going to basically go, object, compound path, and make, right? Object, I'm going to go again. Object, compound path, which is down toward the bottom of the object menu, and then make, right? And then I'll click make. Then watch what happens. Oh, nothing happened. Why didn't anything happen, Mr. Whitus? Well, maybe because I didn't select everything like this. Right. So I'll undo. Bring it to the center. And I even forget sometimes, guys. So, see, I forgot that time. I got to select the whole thing. They're both selected. Object, compound path, make. Boom. See, now it carved it out. Now it's a donut. So again, I could have put a triangle in the center. I could have put a square in the center. And if once I made that compound and I selected them both, it's going to carve out whatever's inside there. So that is really cool. Really, really cool stuff. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the little irises, right? And we'll drag those into the iris lines, we should call them. And we'll drag them in. This is the eye we're working on, by the way, if you haven't figured it out. And then now we got everything in place. We'll highlight everything. Okay, we'll highlight everything. We're still with our selection tool. And then we can go to our properties. We can group here. You can always right click and group, right? But I like variety. Variety is the spice of life. Boom. Now they're all grouped. Now if I grab it and I drag it, they're all grabbed together, right? You just grab something and it drags. They're all grouped. All right, excellent. Okay, now let's go to combining some shapes. All right, so before you jump into combining shapes, we're going to create a triangle. And basically, hold down spacebar. Okay. Got the wrong one. Okay. So basically, I want you to hold down spacebar and then drag across to where we're in this section of that artboard. So what we're going to do is, before we jump and we start combining shape and doing all of these different things, I want us to create a triangle, right? And then we're going to combine it with the other shapes that's already there. Okay, it's kind of a weird kind of deal, but trust me, it's part of the dinosaur, right? So what we're going to do here is the very first thing we want to do is that we want to swap the fill and stroke of the shape so that the fill becomes the stroke. The stroke becomes the fill, right? We're going to swap them. And the way that we swap it, and this is a really important part, so please pay attention. It's this little arrow. It's like an arrow facing one way to the other way. It says swap fill and stroke, right? And there's a shortcut, which is Shift X. But you see that? I'm moving off of it so you can see it. But it's this little area right here. And when you hit that, it's going to swap the fill and stroke of the triangle that we use right now. So I'm gonna swap this out. First, I'm gonna click. Hold down the if you have rectangle tool or we have the ellipse tool, hold it down, and then look for the polygon tool, right? And then here we're gonna swap the fills. But before we make it, let's go ahead and give our fill a color. Maybe I'll do gray. Let's give our stroke a color. And let's do that. Let's give that a blue, so that we know that we can tell them apart. Now mine was grayed out because it didn't have anything assigned. So now I'm going to go ahead and switch. Let me see. Switch the fill and the stroke. All right. So and I'll know immediately when I start creating my polygon. Oh no. So the fill, let's go ahead and take out the fill. There you go. So we just want the outline. We want the stroke. There you go. So I'm going to undo that. Well, actually, I'm going to undo the whole thing. And then fill. You don't want anything in the fill. You just want the stroke. So there you go. So we're going to we have the polygon tool. And if you have more sides, remember the up arrow increases the points, and down arrow, that's what I'm doing. I'm pushing down arrow now, and you only want a triangle, right? And then to get it perfectly centered straight, you're going to hold down shift and it automatically makes it straight, right? So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go over here towards the triangle. I'm going to hold down, well, actually, I'm just going to start making a triangle like that. And then I'm going to hold down shift because it's not straight. Now I push shift. Now it straightens it out. I'm holding down shift still. Let go of the mouse button. And then I'll let it go of shift. And now there it is. Perfectly flat. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to grab my selection tool. And I'm going to see this bottom triangle here. I'm basically going to make a copy of it. I'm going to outline it with this new triangle that I built. And it's going to snap. You're going to start seeing that it's going to snap together. Boom. And I'm going to take pieces of it and connect the path. Until it's perfect. Right? Get it as close as you can. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but there it is. All right. So now that we've seen it and we've matched it, that bottom triangle is just a guide, right? So now that we've created that, we're going to continue. We're going to work with the shape builder tool, right? So what we want to do before we work with the shape builder tool, we understand we have to do a couple of things. We've done this before. We've got to click and drag all across the shapes that we're going to be working with. Everything has to be selected, or the shape builder tool will not work. Again, on the white, just go ahead and drag diagonally, highlight everything. That way the shape builder tool can work. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our shape builder tool, which is this little tool right here, right? Shape builder tool. Click that. And now what we'll do is we're going to start here. We're going to click and we're going to hold, right? And we're going to, as soon as it touches a shape, the entire shape gets lit up, right? And then we're going to continue and we're going to go to our next shape, which basically combines them. So now I'm still holding down my mouse button. When I let it go, it combined the shapes, so there's no more line inside. I'm going to undo this real quick. Because what I want to do is I want to hit my selection tool again, click the whole thing, and I want to give this whole thing a color. Let's give it an orange color. All right, and let's give it another orange color. All right, and let's make the stroke 5 points, so we can really see our shape, right? So we can really play with it. Now it's still selected. I'm going to click my shape builder tool and do the same thing we just did. Now that they're both combined, let go. If you're not getting this, it means that you didn't select the whole thing. All right. So make sure you do that. Now I want to erase some other things, right? So how do we erase things with the shape builder tool? Well, some of you guys, we did this before. So we're going to click over here and we're going to, if you notice on my cursor, it has a plus sign. If we hold down option, it turns into a minus sign. Do you see that? And I want to go ahead now, whatever you kind of fruit ninja, right? It's going to erase and take away. It won't erase the bottom triangle because that was permanently there. That's locked in place. There you go. We're cutting that part out. Now I want to cut out, let's cut out some other things. Again, I'm here. I'm holding out option. Let's cut out the bottom shape and let's cut out that shape. And let's cut out the top two. Fruit Ninja. So we're left with this kind of like Star Trek symbol kind of thing. But it's actually the nose, right? And then what I'm going to do here is it's still selected. I'm going to get a fill and I'm going to fill it with an orange, right? Well, I guess it wasn't selected because it's a new shape. So let me go ahead and come back over here. Select it all. All right. Fill. Should be orange. There you go. If you want a dark orange, you can. You can play with it. All right. Now we'll assemble. And that's the shape builder tool. The shape builder tool is perfect. It's what you want to learn, right? Hit command and then 0. And it'll basically bring us out. Fill everything in here. Oops. Something happened to our... There we are. Boom. Sorry about that. Had to catch back up. You saw it in real time. Maybe I'll speed it up in the video. All right, so let's go ahead and let's put our dinosaur together. So what we're going to do here is we're going to grab our first piece and we're going to put it right here, match the tip of the teeth of this. I don't know what it is, maybe Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then we're going to right click and we're going to arrange and send backward. Once, send backward, arrange, send backward again. That's 2. Arrange, right click, arrange, send backward 3. Oh, there it is. Now I got everything else here. But I don't see these little dots as much as I want, so I'm going to click my fill, make it a darker color so they could stand out. There you go. More contrast. All right. There's our orange piece. Now we got to do the eyes. So I'm going to grab the eyes. They're already grouped. Right? And so I want to get closer, so I'm going to hit Option plus. Okay. Sorry. Command plus plus plus. Right? To where I'm comfortable. Then I'm going to hold down Shift, grab a corner, and drag these irises smaller. It's too big. Grab the iris and bring it in a little bit smaller. I'm gonna have to zoom in a little bit. Undo that. I like that. And now you see it's kind of sticking above this orange, I guess is orange snout. So I'm gonna go in and arrange, send backward. Boom. Now the snout is over it. Now it's in the back. Guess what? All you gotta do is hit Command C, select it, Command C, Command V, make a copy of that, and drag this all the way across. Right? And again, the yellow is above the snout. I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna say arrange, send backward. It doesn't move. It's still on top. What's going on, Mr. Juarez? Well, if you find that you keep doing this and you send backward, it doesn't go back. It's because if you come up here to the layers panel, it's sitting on top, right? And it won't go down because the layers won't move. So you're going to grab this iris and you'll just put it right next to the other iris. And guess what? It automatically moved behind it. Now it's perfect, right? Hit, and then we'll zoom out a little bit. And there's our completed dinosaur. Super cool looking. Hit Command 0. And then actually we'll go to View, Fit All in Window, and we have 2 of the 3 dinosaurs complete. You guys have done a great job today. That's it. In our next lesson, we're gonna go ahead and finish up our 3rd, wrap this up, and get to our next projects. All right, guys, this is Mr. Juarez saying over and out. But oh, wait, hold on. Almost said my word, but you gotta hit save. Never forget it. File. I'm gonna do it manually. File, save. Then you can close it. That's it for me, Mr. Juarez. Over and out. Bye.